So we're here to talk about Val and Paulina from Lovely Homes of Austin and our experience with them. And first of all, we had our first house we bought with another real estate agent, and we thought she was good until we actually met Val and Paulina. The experience was okay. She showed us the houses along the price range we had, but most of the stuff was, you just trust me, you know, and since we didn't know better, we just trust her.
There's no need to explain, just this is how things are done, and it's going to be okay, just trust me.
So, and we ended up we're happy with our house and everything. Then, for our second house, with Val and Paulina, they, first of all, they asked us what we wanted in the house, and what were our goals for, you know, like moving to this house. And that was very helpful because it also helped us like put our feet on the ground of what we wanted. And then when we went to actually see this house, Val showed us like what things to look at. Like of course first we look at the carpet and the paint, but then, you know, what's the structure of the house and what could be some problems and things like that. So that was very helpful. We didn't have that before.
So yeah, I think before was more of the process of you make an offer, you get financing, you go back and forth a couple of times with the seller for about what things to fix or not fix in the house, and then you close as soon as you can and you're done. And this was more of a, even though we were pretty sure about the house, we weren't house shopping, we were buying that specific house, or we weren't buying anything at all. We still went through the process of, okay, let's make sure that this house really actually works for what we want it for. And our first house was brand new, a year old. This house was 10, 13 years old, 14 years old. So we went through the house ourselves before we got an inspection, just with Val, looking at the roof, looking at plumbing. This house has a septic and a well, so we went through that to make sure that we kind of knew what we were getting into. And then after that, we made an offer.
Oh, and there's the thing where Luis was really happy about the negotiating part.
It wasn't free, so okay, not free.
But the negotiating with our first experience, our realtor was more like, well, you know, the realtor did a good job. Here's the house comp. It's a good price. No need to negotiate.
But the general attitude was still of well, we make, if the house is offered for this much, that's how much a house is, and you know, if you ask less, the seller is going to get mad, or you're going to insult them. Well, who cares, right? So our experience with Val and Paulina was that even though the house that we were buying was in a very special section of Austin, and the seller could have got whatever price they wanted for it if they held out, and they were really in a position where they could have just sat and say, this is the price and we're not going a penny lower.
The house had been in the market for 2 days.
So they could have held on for longer. We were the first offer. We sat down with Val and Paulina and said, and they asked us how, I guess, what would be a good price, or what price would make you happy, and I drew them a chart. And the chart was like a decaying exponential, and it was price versus happiness. I said that, you know, the lower you go, the higher the happiness factor. So they got a laugh out of that because they were expecting me to, I guess, give them a number. The number I gave them is like, the goal is 0. So anyway, we still got several $1,000s, you know, like $7,000, $8,000 off of the price of the house, even though, like I said, the seller could have said, this is how much the house is, and this is how much you're going to sell it for. But they were still convinced by Val and Paulina to come down a little bit. So we were pretty happy with that.
And the nice thing was, it wasn't just negotiating for the sake of negotiating. It was really looking for what was best for us, and you know, and we decided which fights were worth fighting and which things we were okay with.
And I guess on that topic, as we were doing this, I was out of town for 3 or 4 days, like Michigan, recruiting. So one thing to note is that Val and Paulina know how to use technology. You'd be amazed how many realtors out there want to use nothing but fax and the telephone. And we were able to do a lot of the contract, or I guess the negotiating paperwork over email. Just send me something, I'll sign it, send it back over email. So I think we take that for granted, but a lot of people will stick with the fax and the phone.
Yeah, that was
even
really
today.
Yeah.
So what else?
Well, the other thing is they say in their phone, when you call them or on their business cards, they say that they're consultants for life, and that's been the case because our previous house we decided to put it on rent, and this is the first time that we're doing something like that, so we didn't know anything.
We were debating whether to sell or to rent the house, and we talked to them about doing that, and they helped us through the decision process, and we ended up putting it up for rent, and went through the house, told us what things to fix, what things weren't worth dealing with if we were just going to rent it.
And then when something like months later the AC stopped working, we didn't know what to do. I mean, of course we first went and looked on the internet, but then we thought, well, let's just call Val. I'm sure he has one of his contacts, and sure enough the person that he recommended was very knowledgeable, was there the next day and helped us with that.
And I guess you can always get on the phone and call one of the big service companies, and they'll be there in an hour, charge you $400 just to flip a breaker or redo a connection. But because Val and Paulina have some investment properties of their own that they run themselves, they have their little network of people that we can call them and say, hey, I need somebody to help me with the AC. Or when we moved into our new house, they recommended a guy to come down and tear the wallpaper down, put up texture on the walls. So instead of having to hunt down and just calling somebody and hoping you get somebody that's good and honest and is not going to try and gouge you with the pricing, we know that if we get a referral from them, it's probably somebody that they've personally worked with, and if they haven't screwed them, they're probably not going to screw us.
And
so
we're very happy.
What else? We had a housewarming party
at
the a couple of months after we moved in. That they set up. They sent out invitations. They brought some food over.
I really didn't believe they were going to do all the work, but they even, I mean, I like to do tortillas. They even warm up the tortillas for us. So that was work.
So that was pretty neat. A lot of the people who were there didn't really believe that it was them putting it on, but I think worked out pretty well.